The vast halls of the Helixer Dominion shimmered with bands of slow-moving light, as if the palace itself breathed. Polished stone gleamed with a milky glow, and floating banners drifted gently in the warm air. To an outsider, the spectacle looked enchanted, but to the courtiers of the Dominion, it was simply another day beneath their towering crystalline throne. The gathered nobles waited with silent anticipation as a new group of off-world delegates arrived. Among them stood a single human warrior named Rollin, who had been selected to represent his species in a cultural exchange that was meant to be a brief and peaceful ceremony. Rollin felt the weight of countless eyes upon him, yet he kept his posture steady and his expression calm. His armor was minimal out of respect for his hosts, but the cut of its plating and the deliberate straightness of his stance marked him clearly as someone who had lived his life in discipline and danger. The Empress of the Dominion sat upon her throne with a gaze that never wavered. Her crown rose like a silver flame, and her voice carried the authority of centuries. At her side stood Princess Leora, who observed the proceedings with an intensity that startled many visitors. Her irises shifted in swirling bands of violet and blue, reflecting the emotions she held barely in check. Leora was known across her world for a peculiar combination of curiosity and boldness that often startled admirals and delighted scholars. Today that daring spark glowed brighter than ever. Rollin stepped forward to offer the traditional greeting of his people. Something within the princess locked onto him. She tilted her head as if she were listening to a distant frequency only she could hear. Her expression shifted from intrigue to delight. Then, without hesitation, she stepped closer until she stood merely an arm's length away from him. Her voice rang out across the chamber with startling clarity as she pointed at him with ceremonial precision. "Mother, I want this one." Every noble in the room froze at once. The Empress arched a brow in restrained astonishment, and Rollin could feel dozens of unreadable stares drilling into him as if he had caused the declaration. Intentionally, Rollin was used to battlefield. Surprises but diplomatic halls demanded careful restraint. He held still, though uncertainty coiled through his thoughts. He knew that the Dominion carried ancient traditions, both delicate and unpredictable. The princess had not spoken of possession in a literal sense. Within Dominion culture, the phrase signaled a desire for a formal alliance partner, someone chosen either for counsel, protection, or shared undertaking of significant endeavors. It was an honor. It was also a responsibility that outsiders rarely understood. The Empress rose from her throne with unhurried grace. She was known for patience forged by the turning of generations. Her gaze settled on Rollin, and she measured him silently. "Your world has offered us brave representatives before. Still, none have drawn the eye of my daughter in such a manner." She approached slowly, as though circling an unanswered question. "Tell me, human, do you understand what she has spoken today?" Rollin answered with steady composure. "I understand that she has chosen me for something meaningful within your traditions. I do not yet know what she expects of me, but I will not dishonor this moment." The Empress considered him for a long pause. Few humans would remain calm beneath such scrutiny, and the fact that he did so stirred murmurs among the nobles. Leora smiled with clear approval. The Empress announced that the ceremony would continue, but she ordered that Rollin remain near the princess as an honorary guest of the throne. That single declaration changed the energy in the entire hall. Nobles stepped aside with traces of alarm or fascination as Princess Leora guided Rollin toward a terrace overlooking the luminescent city beyond. Rollin could feel an odd mixture of relief and tension as he finally stepped away from the public eye. The princess walked with a firm confidence that contrasted sharply with her youthful excitement. When they reached the terrace, she turned to him with a directness he found both disarming and striking. "I have studied your kind for years. Every species in the Dominion archives speaks of humans as adaptable but dangerous. Many thought the old wars would wipe you out, yet you endured. My instructors claimed you survive because you hold too tightly to hope. They said it as a criticism. I think it is a strength. Rollin held her gaze with care. Hope is what kept us alive long enough to stand here before you. On my world, hope is not a weakness. It is a responsibility. Leora considered his answer with clear appreciation. The wind shifted as faint notes of drifting resonance spheres rippled through the sky. Her next words struck with the force of intent. I want you to join me on a journey that will shape the future of my people. Your perspective will challenge ours. Your determination will sharpen our path. And I believe something about your presence will help me confront what lies ahead. Rollin felt a pulse of caution. He understood that accepting such a role could shape not only his fate, but the fate of relations between their species. Yet he also sensed that the princess was not seeking a servant. She wanted an ally, and possibly someone who could stand against forces even the Dominion feared. He chose his next words carefully. If I accept, I do so not as property and not as a gift. I stand with you as an equal. Her smile widened with unguarded enthusiasm. Exactly. Word of the princess's selection spread throughout the Dominion within hours, and the reaction ranged from confusion to celebration. Some saw it as the dawn of a new alliance. Others muttered that choosing a human revealed impulsiveness unbecoming of an heir. Yet none dared contradict the Empress's decree that the matter be respected. The following cycles brought Rollin deeper into the heart of the Dominion's mysteries. He studied crystalline maps suspended in hovering arrays. He sparred in training halls with guards whose shifting energy shields forced him to adapt techniques he had never used before. Through every challenge he felt the princess's eyes upon him, not with judgment, but with a relentless interest that pushed him to reveal parts of himself he often kept buried. Leora trained beside him with equal intensity. She wielded a staff that hummed with contained cosmic charge. Each motion she made released faint spirals of light that responded to the rhythm of her thoughts. Rollin found himself learning to counter techniques that relied more on perception than strength. In turn, he taught her human strategies that valued improvisation and unpredictability. The exchange forged a bond between them that neither of them voiced aloud, but both acknowledged through their willingness to trust each other. With increasingly dangerous knowledge, their unity was soon tested. Rumors circulated of a hostile fleet gathering at the edges of Dominion space. The species involved remained unclear, though reports described a fractured coalition fueled by desperation and armed with unstable technology. The Empress summoned Leora and Rollin to her council chamber, which glowed with soft blue light. Her voice carried tension beneath its steady cadence. Scouts have confirmed unauthorized incursions near our outer stations. They are testing our defenses and searching for weaknesses. I believe this coalition seeks to exploit a vulnerability long hidden in our archives. Leora stiffened. The Vault of Echoes. The Empress nodded. It was clear that the threat was larger than the public understood. Rollin listened carefully as the Empress continued. The vault houses ancient constructs capable of destabilizing entire star routes. We once thought them sealed beyond reach. Now it seems that is no longer certain. Leora stepped forward. Mother, allow us to go. If the incursions aim for the vault, we must intercept them before they reach it. We know its pathways better than any commander. Rollin added his own voice. And I know how unpredictable alliances can become when desperation drives them. Let me help you confront this danger before it expands into war. The Empress weighed their resolve, then granted permission with a solemn nod. She placed her hand on Leora's shoulder with a rare softness, then turned to Rollin. Protect my daughter. Not because she is royalty, but because she carries the weight of thousands who rely on her judgment. Rawlin answered with clear firmness, "I will guard her path with everything I have." The Empress accepted his vow without further comment. It was enough. Their journey began aboard an advanced scout vessel, whose crystalline hull resonated with harmonic frequencies that allowed it to slip past detection grids with silent ease. Leora piloted with an instinctive precision, and Rawlin monitored fluctuations in surrounding space. They traveled through regions where starlight bent into spirals of color that marked ancient gravitational scars. The deeper they traveled, the more the corridors of space trembled with hints of lurking danger. Eventually, they discovered traces of the hostile coalition. A scattered formation of mismatched craft drifted near a long abandoned Dominion outpost. The vessels bore scorch marks and crude modifications suggesting months of unsteady repairs. Rawlin recognized the desperation in their construction. Yet their weapons arrays pulsed with volatile energy. Leora maneuvered closer to gather data. As they observed the fleet, a transmission crackled across their console. A harsh voice demanded identification. Rawlin glanced at Leora. They had been found. Before Leora could respond, a sudden distortion rippled through nearby space. A prototype device within the Coalition fleet malfunctioned and released a burst of unstable energy. The blast destabilized local gravity and dragged several ships.